Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the Daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 20th February 2024, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Before getting into the today's newspaper analysis, I have a certain update with regards to the online workshop which is going to be conducted by Ganesh IAS Academy for the civil service examination for the coming Saturday. The time is from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The link for registration of this workshop will be given in the below description, so go and have a look into it. The participants, those who are going to participate in the session, will be provided with the e-certificates, and also at the same time they will also be the newcomers for the civil service examination or the repeaters for the of the civil service examination can able to align, or they are and at the same time they also could able to understand the path of the examination. So please join the first workshop of Ganesh IAS Academy and get benefited out of it. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. So have a look into it. Okay, let's get into the analysis of every article one by one. Supreme Court says no new zoo, safari without its note. That is, no new zoos should be created by states without the note from the Supreme Court. This is what the recent order being passed by Supreme Court against the amendment being made during 2023 in the wildlife law. Okay, let's get into the analysis of this article. So how the news, first we look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under the prelims, the news is related to general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity and climate change. Similarly, it has been related to GS paper 3, environment through a subtopic called conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and environmental impact assessment. This is how the news has been related with examination. Okay, let's look into the details of the news. So the petition were made against amendment for the forest law 2023, it's not 24, 23, which leaves out nearly 1.99 lakh square kilometer of forest land from the ambit of forests, which could be used for other purposes. This is what the amendment is. So Supreme Court has directed the state government as well as the union territories to provide details of the forest land within their jurisdiction to the center by March 31st. Then the Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Climate Change need to put those details being given by the states as well as the union territories into their websites. And no zoos or the safaris to be notified in forest land without the prior approval. That is, any approval for the establishment of zoo or safari referred in the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which is owned by government authority in forest areas other than the protected areas. This is very important. Other than the protected areas should get approved from Supreme Court. This is what the news is about. And at the same time, Supreme Court also said that the states and the union territories should act as per the definition of the forest that has been laid down by the court during 1996 in Tamil Nadu's Godavaram Trimalpet was Union of India judgment. So this is what the news is about. Let's look into the further explanation of the news or the detailed aspect of the news. In that, we will look into what is the Central Zoo Authority is about. Central Zoo Authority is the authority being headed by Ministry of Environmental, Forest and Climate Change, and it is responsible for overall management of animals, which is housed in Central Zoos of India, and it is the statutory body under Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and it is being chaired by Environment Ministry and 10 other members and the member secretary. And the amendment of the act, see, the recent amendment of the Forest Act has been made during 2023, and what changes have been made is that the preamble has been inserted into it. The act only applies to land that has been notified in any government record as the forest on or after 1980. The act would not apply to if notified forest law was legally diverted between 1980s and 1996 time period for the non-forest purpose, and to forest land situated 100 km away from the international borders, which could be used for strategic project of national importance, and to the land ranging from 5 to 10 hectares of for the security and defense projects. So these are all the exemptions being given under the amendment of the forest law. So this is what the news is about, and this is what the law is about. Let's look into what are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. First, we should be aware of what is Wildlife Protection Act, its objective, and what are all the bodies that has been created under it, and what are all the provisions that has been provided to protect the wildlife. Secondly, we should also be aware of the Forest Act 2006, and then the RED Plus. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Government raises funding for development of natural rubber sectors for 2 years. So recently the government has increased its spending for the natural rubber sectors to substitute the import, so that the domestic supply will get increased. So this is what the news is about. First, we will look into the link of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to economic and social development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, let's look into the detailed aspect of the news. The government has increased the allocation of sustainable development of natural rubber sector scheme for the next 2 financial year by 23%. And recently, there is a shortfall in the availability of natural rubber, which has resulted in rising import of natural rubbers from countries like Vietnam, Malaysia as well as Southeast Asian, which in turn is leading to outgo of our forex reserve. And there are over 13 lakh rubber growers in India, in our country. In that, Kerala is the primary producers, or accounting most of the growers, or housing most of the rubber growers in India. And the total production was 8.39 lakh tons during financial year 23, but the consumption during that year stood at 13.5 lakh. So we could able to see that there is a difference of nearly 5 lakh hectares have been there. So this difference has been compensated by the import from these countries, and these funds will be used, that is the increased spending will be used for supporting the plantation of rubber, generation of planting materials, as well as productivity enhancement, formation of rubber producer, and rubber research and training. So these are all the areas where the increased funding will be invested. So from the fund, nearly 29 crores will be invested for the next 2 years in the rubber research, which aims to develop rubber clones which is suitable for different agroclimates, so that there could be a sustainable use of the rubber will be taking place rather than indiscriminate use of the rubber. So what is this natural rubber is about? So it is the most versatile industrial raw material of the plant origin, and in that latex is the most economic produce, and which has been harvested by controlling the wounding. The Hevia brasiliensis is the main source of the natural rubber, and it is native to the Amazon river basin. And the rubber tree grows in wide range of agroclimates and soil condition, and it requires nearly 200 centimeter of rainfall per year. So this is what the details of natural rubber is. So what does the rubber board, which is the board being formed to promote the rubber cultivation as well as its exports in India? It is the statutory body being constituted under the Rubber Act 1947 and the Rubber Production and Marketing Amendment Act 1954 amended the name of the board as Rubber Board, and it functions under the Ministry of Commerce, and also it headquarters in Kottayam, Kerala. So this is what the Rubber Board is about. So, and the board consists of chairman who has been appointed by the government and the other members. So this is what the structure of the Rubber Board is about, which is there to promote the rubber cultivation as well as export in India. So what need to be studied further is we should be aware of other boards like coffee board, tea board, as well as spices board. So the structure, function and objective, and overall the member of it, and under which ministry they are coming. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Center's MSP proposal. Situation in pulses and cotton. That is, Center has recently proposed a proposal for the farmers, those who are right now being engaged in the protest in Delhi, and the farmers have rejected the proposal. So what is the proposal and why they have rejected, and what are all the consequences of it, we will look into it. First, we will look into how the news has been related with examination. Under prelims, the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains, it is related to a major topic called economic development through a subtopic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, let's look into the explanation part of the news. So during the fourth round of talks with farmers, Center has presented a proposal for crop diversification in Punjab, under which government promoted cooperatives would offer 5 years contract to procure 5 crops, that is tur, urza, mazur, maize and then cotton at the MSP rate. And thus cooperatives like National Cooperative Consumer Federation of India Limited, National Agriculture Cooperative Marketing Federation of India Limited, which is NAFED, and then Cotton Corporation of India, which is the important corporation for promotion as well as cultivation of cotton. And these are all the 3 cooperatives will be involved in procuring the pulses as well as the cotton in Punjab, and there is no limit in the quantity. So this is what the proposal been made by government for the Punjab farmers, but the farmers have rejected it. They want only the MSP, minimum support price, for all the products across the country, and this price need to be backed by statutory rights. So this is what the proposal, and this is what the reason for rejection by the farmers of the proposal. So what is why the center's push for the crop diversification in Punjab? Why the center is pushing for crop diversification is, see, more than 80% of the geographical area in Punjab is under cultivation. In that, 35.21 lakh hectares out of the total 41.17 lakh hectares is under wheat, and this wheat is the guzzle of water, that because it requires more amount of water for its cultivation as well as the harvesting, and nearly 2000, that is nearly 2500 liters of water is needed for the overall cultivation of the wheat, and its cultivation is leading to indiscriminate usage of the groundwater, which in turn is leading to scarcity of water resource in the area. And this is the reason why an attempt has been made to diversify the crop that has been produced in Punjab. Previously, there has also been an attempt being made by center as well as the state government to promote the crop diversification in the Punjab, but it hasn't yielded any kind of desired result. For example, the area under the cotton has only came down from 2.91 lakh hectares in 2017-18 to 2.51 lakh hectares in 21-22 time period, and similarly the area under the maize came down from 1.14 lakh hectares to 1.05 lakh hectares in the same period. So marginal decrease only has happened with regards to the crops that has been majorly produced in Punjab. States that are major producers of the 3 pulses in the government proposal. So the proposal that has been given by the government, so in that we could be able to see that the pulses are given the priority. So the handful of states accounts for nearly half of the country's total production of pulses. Who are they? Are Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand. These are all the 4 states that produce approximately 95% of India's mazur, and Maharashtra, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat and Jharkhand produces nearly 80% of arhar, and Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra produce the 75% urad, and India's total production is 27.69 million tons. It dependent on the import of pulses to meet its domestic demand. So if the proposal is going to get implemented, means these are all the states which will get benefited out of it, but other states who are all the marginal producers of the pulses will get less benefit when compared to these major states, those are producing the more amount of pulses. And the government has set a target of becoming self-sufficient in the pulses by 27 and has been promoting their production through incentives like MSPs and procurement incentives like price support scheme as well as price stabilization fund. So these are all the initiatives being made by government to promote the pulses production in India. And pulses and cotton that has been procured by India, government. So the center has announced MSP for 22 crops, but the procurement is limited only to few crops. The Food Corporation of India procures cereals, that is wheat and paddy majorly. NAFED mainly procures pulses and oil seeds, and Cotton Corporation of India procures cotton. So we could be able to see that out of this 22 crops, only a handful of crops being procured by the government. So there is some inequality in terms of procurement is there. So in terms of cotton, what the official data is saying is that, see, the procurement of cotton by Cotton Corporation of India in Punjab has been rising in the last 3 years, but the overall figures shows it is very low. That is, the cotton procurement or the production as well as the procurement in the, out of the overall production and procurement in Punjab is very low. The Punjab accounts for about 5% of the total cotton procured by the Cotton Corporation of India. Remaining 95% is being, and the procurement is happening in different other states. So we could be able to see that, see, the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, in their websites, there is some data. What the data is saying is that CCI has produced a total of 91.90 lakh bales during 21-22 time period, out of which 34.01 lakh bales came from Andhra Pradesh. So major chunk, that is 1/3 of the cotton bales is coming from Andhra Pradesh, and the Punjab, as the contribution of Punjab for the cotton procurement is only 5.36 lakh bales during the same period. So this is what the thing with regards to the cotton in the Punjab is. And in terms of pulses in 22-23, NAFED procured 29.64 lakh tons of pulses at MSP under price support scheme and 57,754 tons under PSF, and of the total quantity procured by NAFED, the largest share is being occupied by gram followed by moong. So these are all the two pulses crops which contributes to the major amount, most of the procurement made by the government. And CSEP, that is the Commission for Cost Price, which is the body that is responsible for recommending the MSP price in India. What the body has said is that, see, the MSP has been announced for various crops, but it has raised concerns with regards to the NAFED's procurement. Why? Because see, NAFED's dispose the pulses that it is procuring from the states to the open market at a price which is lesser than the minimum support price, which in turn is discouraging the local traders to buy from the local farmers. So this is what the concern that has been raised by CSEP with regards to the NAFED's procurements of pulses. So this is what the analysis of the proposal by the made by the government is about. Let's look into what are all the areas which we needed to be further aware of. First, we should be aware of what is NAFED, what is Cotton Corporation of India, what is MSP PDS system, and what is the Food Corporation of India is about. So these are all the areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Odysseus spacecraft. So the spacecraft that is going to be launched by US in the coming week. So this is what the news is about, which is the spacecraft that is related to moon. So that is the reason why it appeared in newspaper. So okay, let's look into the details of the news. First, we will look into the linkage of the news with the examination. Under prelims, the news is related to general science. Similarly, under mains, it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, and computers. So this is how the news has been related with examination. Let's look into the explanation part of the news. See, a robotic lunar lander is going to be launched in space in the coming week. If it all is going to go well, means it will be the first American spacecraft to gently set down on the moon surface since Apollo 17 during which was landed successfully during 1972, and it would also become the first private effort to reach the surface of the moon in one single piece. 3 earlier attempts been made by US, Japanese, Israel, but all the 3 countries, companies have failed in it. So why it is called as Odysseus? So the employee who's responsible, the employee of the company who's responsible for the mission has took the name from the ancient Greek epic poem. A hero who will be making a journey in this poem, that hero's name is Odyssey. That is the reason why this program has been named as Odyssey. And what is its significance is, so if the private company can pull things, if it is going to successfully land the lander in the moon means, then it will be reducing the cost of the government's space agencies. For example, NASA is the primary customer for this private agency, which is going to launch the lander into the moon, and NASA has spent nearly $118 million. But if the NASA itself going to implement the moon lander means, surely it will be costing it around $500 million to land its payload inside the moon. So this is what the one thing. And secondly, it will also be leading to increased innovation as well as democratization of the scientific research, most importantly space research. And this launch of the Intuitive mission comes just after a month of another US company. So this is what a concern is. Previously during last month, one of the US company, that is Astrobotic Technology of Pittsburgh, attempted to send a Peregrine, a lander, into the moon, but it got it busted on the way to the moon. It got busted during its way into the moon. So in this Peregrine mission also, NASA is one of the customer. NASA is a customer in a way that its payload is being carried by the Peregrine mission, but because of the failure of this mission, NASA doesn't got any money worth out of it. All the money that has been spent in the mission by the NASA from the customer point of view, it got lost. But what the NASA is saying is that even out of the 100 mission that the NASA is going to carry with the help of the private companies, if 50 missions are going to fail also, the remaining 50 mission, if it is going to succeed means, then it will be benefiting the NASA only. How it is, as I said in the previous according to the calculation which I said in the previous explanation. For example, if the particular mission is going to cost around $500 million means, so the NASA will be spending only around $120 million each mission on each mission, so that its payload will be handed over to the private companies. It is the private company's responsibility to safely launch and then land those payload in the moon. So it is doing this project in US is called as Commercial Lunar Payload Service Program. So this is what the thing is about, and this is what the advantage of the spacecraft being developed by the private companies about. Let's look into the other areas, which are all the things which we needed to be further aware of. First, we should be aware of Chandrayaan-3. Secondly, we should be aware of the Parker Solar Probe, and then thirdly, we should be aware of the Aditya L1 solar mission. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be further aware of, and with this we have reached the end of this topic. Okay, let's look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned here is the today's practice prelims question. So those students, those who are watching this session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. So with this, we have reached the end of today's session. Please do like, comment, share, as well as subscribe Ganesh IAS YouTube channel, so that you will be receiving daily current affairs session notification and also weekly environmental as well as science and tech related current affairs notification. So thank you.